Alleluia, alleluia.
Alleluia, alleluia. Open our hearts, O Lord, to listen to the words of your Son.
Alleluia, alleluia. The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus told his disciples, "The kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out at dawn to hire laborers for his vineyard. After agreeing with them for the usual daily wage, he sent them into the vineyard. Going out about 9 o'clock, the landowner saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and he said to them, 'You too go into my vineyard, and I will give you what is just.' So they went off, and he went out again around noon or around 3 o'clock and did likewise. Going out at about 5 o'clock, the landowner found others standing around and said to them, 'Why do you stand here idle all day?' They answered, 'Because no one's hired us.' He said to them, 'You too go into the vineyard.' When it was evening, the owner of the vineyard said to his foreman, 'Summon the laborers and give them their pay, beginning with the last and ending with the first.' When those who had started about 5 o'clock came, each received the usual daily wage. So when the first came, they thought that they would receive more, but each of them also got the usual wage. And on receiving it, they grumbled against the landowner, saying, 'These last ones worked only 1 hour, and they made equal to us, who bore the day's burden and the heat.' He said to one of them in reply, 'My friend, I'm not cheating you. Did you not agree with me for the usual daily wage? Take what is yours and go. What if I wish to give this last one the same as you? Or am I not free to do with my money as I wish? Are you envious because I am generous? Thus, the last shall be first, and the first shall be last." The Gospel, the good news of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
To give or not to give? That is the question. When you first read this gospel, it appears to be all about fairness and who was to be paid what amount. Those who arrived last were paid the same amount as those who arrived first. And to them, not fair. So, those who arrived first and did the day's worth of work and who thought they should be paid more took their fight to the landowner, telling him, "This is not fair. How could you do this? It's just not right, not fair." However, the landowner does not bite as they try to make their argument that they worked all day under the heat of the sun and they should be paid more. The landowner said, "I paid you what we agreed upon, did I not?" And to make his point even more, the landowner said, "Are you envious because I am generous?" And therein lies the rub. The workers could not tolerate the generosity, the kindness, the loving spirit of the landowner who was willing to help out those in a time of need, someone who needed extra help. This past week, I went to lunch at Oasis Restaurant. Social distancing, of course, sitting outside on one of the nice picnic tables. And as I was leaving and approaching the intersection at Brown Road, where the Hucks, the Lowe's, and the Ford dealership are all located, there was a panhandler there, running across the street, trying to dodge traffic. His pants were even so short or so loose on him that while he was running, he's trying to hold him up at the same time that he was running along, holding his sign and trying to hold on to a bucket as well to collect his money in. I wanted to help him, but it was just after lunch and traffic was heavy. Even for Madisonville standards, traffic was heavy. And I was on the wrong side of the road. And as I wrote this on Wednesday morning, I thought to myself, I'm going to go back to that same spot today at lunch to see if he's there. I went, and he wasn't there. You know, there are people in our country who depend upon the kindness of a stranger. Certainly, we look at the big picture today and we can see that with businesses closing, with employees being laid off who didn't make a large amount of money to begin with. We look to the West Coast and we see fires that have decimated small towns and communities, people who have put their entire livelihood into their property, houses, complete blocks, you've seen it, gone. We look to the Gulf states and to two hurricanes, Laura that hit a couple of weeks ago, and Sally that hit just this past week, and another tropical storm on the way. And people's lives turned upside down. But we also see those who are in need of life and kindness and giving on our sidewalks and streets and highways. We see them standing there with their makeshift signs, like I did on Tuesday, and blatantly asking people for money. Some communities are taking a bold initiative and approach to try to reduce and even eliminate the practice of panhandling by sending out vans to pick people up if they're willing and to take them to another location where they can get a day's work. There are skeptics out there, of course, who are saying they won't go. They don't really need anything. They're just taking advantage of our kindness. Or why waste taxpayer dollars or other community members' resources to try to help freeloaders? But if you think about it, aren't we all a freeloader? Every one of us are depending upon the grace and the generosity of God. We would have nothing if it were not for God already. You know, Jesus has a different vision, doesn't he? It all started with love of neighbor. And for him, we're all neighbors. He pushed even further to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, give drink to the thirsty. So what if I open my heart to the person who's standing on the street corner holding a sign and a bucket that says, I'm hungry, I need help, I need food? What if I choose to roll down my window and reach into my pocket or my console and help, give someone else? Are you envious because I am generous? Jesus came for the lost. He left the 99 and he went and searched for that one lost sheep. And when he found it, he lifted it up on his shoulders. And I can imagine that sheep bleated out for joy as he was brought back to the fold. To bring the lost into the fold, we must think differently. We must act differently. In so many ways, people's lives are in need of help today. Our church will turn in on itself and die if we only talk about what is fair or our own needs. Our church will grow and thrive, though, if we reach out and we bring in the lost. and we share with them the generosity of God that's been so freely given to us. The encouragement that Jesus gives us is to welcome the lost and to bring our church to new life. The encouragement I want to give us this week is simple. Be generous. Even more in this season, with fires and hurricanes and pandemics, people who have lost their jobs, people who are walking away from God, individuals who are depressed and need encouragement and help, to be generous. Basic care is rooted in that one simple word, generosity. Look for the person this week that you can be generous to. A family member who needs someone to talk to, an elderly person who's all alone, a child who needs help with their math or their science project, food at St. Vincent de Paul Society, or a volunteer, and volunteer there and share and help. And if you feel so inclined, roll down your window or push that button on your car and roll down your window, reach into your pocket or your console and give to that panhandler. To give or not to give, that is the question.